All right, g'day and welcome to Tuesday nights. Where would you rather be on a Tuesday night? Okay, you've had some dinner, you've tucked in, and mate, real pleasure to have you. For those who don't know me, my name's Craig Turton, or TURTS. I'm the proud co-founder of 100 Words Mate to Mate, a men's health organisation raising awareness about the plight of men's health in this country. Every day in this country, 7 men take their own life. It's an horrendous figure. It's only getting worse. The biggest killer of men in this country between the age of 15 and 44 is themselves. It's a horrendous statistic, okay? Now, all we try to do here at 100 Words Mate to Mate is, tonight, Mate to Mate at 8, is we want, as part of your routine and structure, is to ring one of your mates every day, okay? Just pick a mate and ring him. Now, normally you would say, "G'day, mate. How you going?" He says, "Good." You say, "Great." Okay, and that's about it. What we want you to do, and the whole idea of Mate to Mate at 8 is this. We want you to start the conversation is, "G'day, mate, how's your day out of 10? Or, "G'day, mate, how's your week been out of 10? Polls just come up on the screen. So we want to know how your day's been out of 10. Okay, so fill that out. We'll go through the poll results a bit later on. Now, all we try to do here at Mate to Mate at 8 is this. Mirror a conversation between 2 men. Okay, and the easiest way we think to start that is to say, "G'day, mate, how's your day out of 10? So as I said, fill out that poll as you jump on. Now, as I say each and every week, I am a house painter by trade. See, there's all today's hard work. Okay, I'm not a doctor, a psychologist, or a psychiatrist. Okay, those who know me will attest to that, I can assure you. Okay, now, poll results here. We've got some people at a 10. How good's that? The people are having a 10. That's awesome. We've got people at 9s, 8s, 7s, and 6s. So not bad tonight. Quite often we get people, when we ask that question, people are really, really honest every week. And we get anything between 10 and 1, and we've dealt with that. Now, if at any stage tonight the conversation gets a bit too heavy for you, okay, there is always a number to call. That number is 131114. That is the number for Lifeline. We hope you don't need it. But if any stage you do, there was always someone there to answer your call, okay? Now, tonight, our guest, I like to call him Young Ash. He's a dear friend of mine now. I've only known Ash for about 10 weeks. Let's just bring Ash up on the screen because I want to say this in front of him. Bring him up on the screen if we can. When we wrote the brief for this show, there he is. Stay there, my fine friend. You just stay there for a sec. When we put this together, Waltzy and I and all the boys at 100 Words Mate to Mate, there was 3 criteria that we wanted to meet, and it was be open, honest, and raw. Okay, they were the criteria, and that's what we wanted to base all our conversations on, because we think it's really, really important for men to have those open, raw, and honest conversations. So the man you see in front of you is 19 years of age. I want you to keep that in mind as we go through the story tonight, okay? I'll say from the outset, I've known Ash for 10 weeks, okay? Might be 11, actually, might be 11. He is one of the biggest success stories of 100 Words Mate to Mate, and you're about to hear why. I got a phone call about 11 weeks ago from a guy called Don Payden, who is a member of 100 Words Mate to Mate, and he told me that the young man sitting in front of you all had tried to take his own life, and he wanted some help. So we've been helping and doing what we can here at 100 Words for the last 10 or 11 weeks to help this young man that sits in front of you. And fair to say, he's come a long way, okay? We asked him, Waltz and I asked him a week and a half ago to see if he'd come on the show. And fair to say, he was pretty excited to come on and share his journey and to share how far he's come and what he's done to get there. Tonight is 3 things: open, honest, and raw. And you will not meet a more courageous man than the kid sitting in front of you. So without any further ado, Ash, how's your day been out of 10, my friend?
My day has been easily a 9.5. It would be a 10, besides the fact I almost killed my boss today.
Well, we might go into that bit later, that something may have fallen off the excavator and nearly rolled poor Don over. We might get that into that a bit later, but it's good to know that Don did escape any injury, and I know he'll be sitting up there tonight watching. So, mate,
your day out of 10?
We got a lot to get through, okay? I had a cracking day today. I'm on a roll. I've had a lot of 8s and 9s of late. So yeah, I'm about 9.5 today. I've had a really, really good day. We've got some really exciting news that we're going to share with the 100 Words members over the next 48 hours. And we're really, really excited about that. But mate, let's talk about you. That tonight is all about you and sharing your journey and your story with everyone who's listening. As a young kid, you at school from a very, very early age, you were bullied and bashed repeatedly, weren't you?
Oh, there wouldn't be a day where I wasn't bullied verbally, physically. There would be, yeah, if I was to escape a day without at least having a verbal one, then I would pretty much call that a great day. But yeah, there'd be a very rare day where I'd escape verbal or physical abuse.
And that started from what year? What grade at school?
Grade 2.
Grade 2. So you're what, 7, 8?
Yeah, about 8, 9.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're young, and that's what's happening to you. Every day you wake up and you know you're going to get bullied or bashed or harassed in some way, shape, or form. Did you ever think, why is this happening to me?
No. The closest I could come to it even today is I'm different. You know, I'm different to how I think, how I work, even in school, how I learn. But like when I was grade 2, after all the bullying and stuff that had gone on, I was 8 or 9, and that's the first time I tried to ever take my life. I was at Dandenong bowling alley on a Friday night with my mum and dad, and I don't know why, but it's all people named Craig that I know have been a real helping hand. So I feel like it's a good name to pick out, is to have someone named Craig, because like you're helping out someone. So, but yeah, I had a mate of mine named Craig, and he was a dear friend, and I still keep in contact with him today. And he had went out to the front in tears and just ran to the road and was just waiting for a truck. And next thing you know, he's come racing and grabbed me and pulled me aside and said, "Why?" I said, "I'm just tired of it. I just want to die." And that's, looking at it now, as an 8 or 9-year-old, that's the scariest thing to happen. And, my mum, dad wouldn't have had a son if it wasn't for him.
What an amazing man to come and save you like that, mate. I can't, and nor will the viewers, I'd imagine, be able to put their head into the headspace of an 8 or 9-year-old who's having those thoughts because of what's happening each and every day. Just before we move on, it was remiss of me not to mention that when we first got involved with Ash, he was asked to watch this show, and he has watched those who watch the show. Every week Ash watches, and every week Ash will send in 2 or 3 questions, and they're really, really, really poignant questions. And he's stumped a few of our guests with the questions that he's asked. So for a young man to get the advice to watch this show and watch other men be open and honest, I think has been a real positive. And we'll get through to talk about some of the guys that he's watched and some of the guys that have reached out to him a little bit later on. So, mate, after that, how do you rationalise it in your own head as an 8 or 9-year-old that's what you wanted to do?
I don't think about it because, as an 8, 9-year-old, you don't know what suicide is. So to me, I just want to die, like characters in movies. They just die. That's it. They're forgotten. No one cares about them. So as an 8, 9-year-old, I was just tired of the bullying. When my mate had asked me, why, I just said, I'm just tired of it. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I just want to die because I don't want to be here. And, to have, looking back at it now, as an 8, 9-year-old, is like looking at it, not literally 10 years later. If it wasn't for my mate, and if it wasn't for the people I have today, I don't know where I would have ended up if he wasn't there. You know, could I have actually committed? You know, I knew I wanted to jump in front of a truck, but would I actually brought myself to it?
Yeah.
So, you know, like I said, looking back on it 10 years now, it's frightening to think that I even thought that or even attempted that.
So this continues on to grade 5, doesn't it? All the way through from grade 2 to grade 5.
Yep.
Tell us what happens in the schoolyard after um, um, after there was a small incident, which was neither here nor there, in the classroom. You get attacked in the schoolyard. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I had our class, all the grade 5s had a earthquake studiers come in and, you know, give us a project. And, you know, it was just, you know, we took a random guess. She explained to us how earthquake works and, you know, different magnitudes and all that stuff that I don't know about now. So we had to take a guess at what would, you know, shake a house but not destroy it. And we gave an answer, and me and this girl came close to it. And we got first prize. We got $10 Boost Juice voucher each and a bag of these, and, you know, best present you could ever ask for.
Happy
And
days.
yeah, go down to Boost Juice and ask for a mango smoothie. But yeah, we gave each other a high five, and that was it. You know, we were happy. We, you know, took a victory and ended up, you know, you know, as school does, it ends, bell rings, you go and get your bags, you leave. And so, yeah, I was on my way down the end of the basketball court. I spoke with some teachers. So I was, you know, just saying to them, you know, what did you need done for this subject or this subject? And then on my way out, I had got down to the end of a basketball court and got about 50 meters away from teachers to my left and my family to my right. And to know that I could have died that day, literally, and been murdered, was the fact that I had been ganged up on by 4 people, and one had me in a chokehold, one had a knife up to my throat, who was, at the time, he quoted himself as being this girl's boyfriend. And his other mate held a dagger. And sorry, there was 5 people, and then one of his other mates was punching me in the guts and that, and, you know, I'm trying to scream for help. Sorry. And you know, just to think that, yeah, I could have died that day, literally by someone else because of a high five. I couldn't scream because my throat was being crushed. I ran as soon as they let go. I sprinted to the teachers and told them what happened, and we went to my parents and our other family friends that were sitting there. My dad was at work at the time, but my mum was there. And I'd said to mum what had happened. We went through it and you know, took it to the principal and that. And to this day, it still annoys me how much that the school, I won't say every school, but, you know, school systems need to be improved, because what had happened was, as the principal said, we can't expel, we can't suspend these people because they're hardly at school. Yet again, I saw them at school for the next 2 weeks straight, every day, Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. till 3:30. And you're telling me that they couldn't be suspended or expelled for holding a knife up to my throat and could have killed me and slit my throat that day. And for me not to be able to see my parents.
You're 12 when this happens, aren't you? That is just unfucking acceptable behaviour to happen to anyone, let alone a 12-year-old boy.
It scared me. I stayed at the school till I did a J-Rock concert. We went to Hisense Arena and did a concert, all the grade 5s. Mind you, I was still shit scared that something could have happened before going on stage to me, whether I could have been punched and kicked or whatever, and have to tell the teacher I can't do this. But I did it, and everything went well, and, you know, I have the video of it today. God, looking at it now, I was such a chubby kid. But I did that. As soon as I did that, I stayed for a couple more days, got my t-shirt signed for leaving, and left school, changed school, went to a different school, and I did the rest of grade 5 and 6 there, and did not have a single issue at the school. No bullying, no verbal abuse, not a single day.
So from that point on, did you feel safe?
When I was at the school, yeah. When I changed schools, I felt safe. I felt accepted, you know. Then I graduated.
Did you ever feel at that previous school? Did you ever feel safe or accepted?
No, I felt accepted, never safe. Never safe. I only felt accepted by a few people. Sorry, by a few good friends I still keep in contact with today.
So we move forward to, so you stayed at school and then into high school.
Yeah.
And how was high school?
Horrible, horrible. Bullied all the way from basically like what you said, the intro, grade 2, all the way to year 11. You know, besides grade 6, but year 7 to year 11 was hell. You know, I'd be getting same thing. I was just different. I got verbal and kicked and punched. There was nothing I could do about it. You know, I tried speaking to teachers and telling them, and they said, "Oh, you know, we'll speak to them." And admittedly, they did speak to them, and a few of them eased off. You know, and you know, we actually got along a bit better. I was able to play basketball with most of them, and you know, have my fun. But I knew I never felt accepted. It wasn't until year 8 I met a really good group of special friends, and we've organised a Kris Kringle for this year that we're going to catch up and all that. But all the way up till, you know, before I met them when they were year 7 and I was year 8, even after I met them, it was hell still. Same thing, verbal, kicked, punched.
Did you ever have that issue? Did you play many sports as a kid?
I played Oz kick as a kid.
Did you have outside interests like scouts or anything like that?
No, I didn't.
No.
To be honest with you, I didn't know about scouts till I was about 15. Had no clue about them. The closest I came to sports outdoors was when I was in primary school. I did Oz kick, but other than that, but I only did that for a couple of months, and I was one of the kids that hardly got a ball thrown to them or that. So I'd say to the ref, and then, you know, I'd get given a free kick. And admittedly, you know, at times that can ruin the game. And you know, I look back at it now, it's just something you got to deal with. But that was the closest thing I ever had. The only other releases I had were playing the old PS1 with my dad, playing Gran Turismo or Crash Bandicoot, or playing the Wii with him and playing Wii Sports, or, you know, just anything like that. But I didn't have a social life very much after, sort of, even while I was at school, I didn't really have much of a social life.
From there, year 10, get to year 10, and it's still happening?
Year 10, still happening. I did pre-cal. So to explain it, give that a little bit of detail, you know, a VCal TURTS?
Yep.
So, you know, you do 3 days a week of school, 1 day TAFE, 1 day work. That's basically pre-cal, except you're learning the basics of VCal to be able to go into it. So it's you still do, I think it was 1 or 2 VCE classes, so like arts or music or that. But then you did your VCal side, and we did I think it was once a fortnight we did a day's work on the school, but just with teachers, you know, just getting ready for VCal and what it's like and that. Then yeah, but still same thing, just more verbal that year than physical, just more verbal.
Did you ever fight back when you were getting bashed? Did you fight?
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried. Didn't succeed. Most I would get in is a slap across the face or maybe a lucky kick to the groin, but 9 times out of 10 I still fell on my ass. I mainly shielded my face. I came back with bruises on my back, on my chest, on my legs, on my arms, and I always sort of get them covered. And, you know, my parents would ask, "How's my day?" And I said, "Yeah, just the usual, you know, maths, English, recess, lunch." Not much.
I was going to say, you hid it from your parents, didn't you?
I
Why was
mainly
that?
had scared, just pure scared. You know, I didn't want them to freak out and thinking that, you know, they need to move me from school to school to school to school. And I didn't want them to worry about me. I wanted them to think that I was having a good day at school, or that I was at least having an okay day, because not every day at school is going to be perfect.
Yeah.
But you know, then once they start getting more verbal, it just, you know, shoot. I at the start I sort of watered it off as like the saying, water off a duck's back. I mainly did that, and then it continued and continued, and it got to the point where I just couldn't. I just kept soaking it in and soaking it in and soaking it in, and couldn't get it out of my head. And, yeah,
Did you talk to your mates about it?
sometimes it'd just be like, oh, you know, I'm just tired of the punching, I mainly told them about the verbal. I'm just like, oh, I'm sick of being called a dumb fucker, or I shouldn't be here, or that. And, you know, to hear that as a kid growing up, you know, you're trying your best to learn. And, you know, I know everyone's going to go through some sort of school hassles or that, but when you're getting it every day, you know, you get people, like I said, you're calling them a dumb fucker or a useless person, or, you know, and it just got to, it's like, I even have people say, you know, your mum should have aborted you. Your mum should have, you know, never had you. You know, should have swallowed and stuff like that. And that fired me up because, you know, as any person would, um, I'm sure you would too. If someone disrespected your mother or father or husband, wife, kids, or whatever, you'd fire up about it and say, listen, you don't talk like that. You take that
Well,
back, or, you know, I don't want you to hear it to say it again. Next time I hear you say it, you know, there's going to be problems.
so you get to year 11 and you sneak out one night, don't you?
Yeah, year 11, I snuck out of home on a Thursday, and because my parents went home. Actually, no, sorry, they were home, but I had changed clothes, and, you know, I basically got up and just left in casual clothes, you know, and I went to. I still remember the day, Thursday, September 16th at 10 past 11 in the morning. I went to Western Port Highway Bridge just down the road from me, and that was the. You look at it now, that's more to say that's my first proper attempt on my life, because I knew what suicide was. I knew
Yeah.
what I was doing. So yeah, I went up to there and sat up there for a good 45 minutes to an hour in tears, just screaming in tears, saying, someone help me, please. I need help. Someone help me. And I'm dangling my feet over the edge, and, you know, I know I can land on the pavement and, you know, maybe break a leg, or I could get hit by a car, hit by a truck, hit by a bus. But at that stage, I was also thinking, I do that, I'm scarring that person, that family, you know. And I sat up there, like I said, for 45 minutes to an hour in tears, just bawling my eyes out. And I reckon I had about 1,000 cars pass me. I'd say maybe a dozen honk their horns, and one person had done a U-turn and had came and tried to stop me, and had stopped me with the help of police. I just before police arrived, they grabbed me and said, you know, you can't do this. You know, it's not fair. About 2 minutes later, police arrived, and they held me. You know, they held on to me tight, made sure I couldn't let go. I couldn't do anything, and you know, I had destroyed myself in tears. And as soon as they pulled me across, um, I forgot to tell you, the wife of the husband that had pulled over, I immediately just ran and gave her a hug and just bawled my eyes out and said, thank you. You know, thank you. That's all I could say. And then I got sat in the back of a police car just as the ambulance rocked up, and police had said they received at least 100 phone calls saying, this kid, you need to get him. He's going to kill himself. But yeah, ambulance rocked up. Just before I went in the ambulance, my dad came looking for me. And he saw the police on the bridge, and he's just thinking, please, fuck's sake, no, don't be my son. My dad rocked up on that bridge and saw me saved, but you know, I'm in tears. I gave him a hug, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I tried to do this. I couldn't deal with the bullying anymore, TURTS. You know, from grade 2 to year 11, what's that? 7, 8 years, even 9 years of just being harassed. And, you know, it's frightening to hear that. And I suppose it's like, I'm glad that the police and ambulances did what they did, but I was gut wrenched when I was sitting in the back of the police car to have one officer walked past and I heard him mumble, and I'll never forget it. It was this officer say, why didn't you just jump? You know, I wouldn't have to be here if you had to just jump. And it's like, why the fuck would you even think that? You know, you're here to save someone's life. You signed up to save and help people, not to mumble under your breath that you wish that someone had done something so you couldn't be there. And then as I was sitting in the police car again, still there, this female officer had said to me, she goes, you know, you still could have died because the police didn't have a proper grip on you. And, you know, I'd look back at it, and like I said to you, it's like I daydream about it, and I have dreams about it. That, you know, I'm looking at myself from a third person perspective, like a drone is flying around, filming it like a movie set. And I could see myself, you know, I fall back, I land on a car, I fall on my head and, you know, snap my neck. I keep looking at it, and it's the same outcome. That I 100% would have died, no matter what. And that,
Did you want to die that night?
it was more a desperate cry for help. It was to say, I need help now. I'm on very, very, very thin ice. That if no one helps me, I don't know where I'd be. And so, yeah.
Is that the first time that your dad and your mum get to understand the full extent of what you've been through?
It was the first full time.
Did that open up? Did that open up the lines of communications with mum and dad to get them to understand?
In a sense, yes. I did start talking a bit more, but not as much as what I talk about now because of you guys. I used to just keep it, you know, oh, such and such. I said this today, but I spoke to the school counselor. I went to the counselor today, you know, saw him for an hour. But it opened up a bit more, but it didn't open it right up. And you know, it like I said to you, it gut wrenched me to hear two officers say, one, why didn't you jump? It had saved me from being here. And then saying to someone, you know, you still could have died. Why would you say that to me? You know, they didn't have the door open facing towards traffic, but they left the door open, you know, facing over the bridge. And I knew, and I thought it in my head. I said, you know, if I've just got this, I'm like, why would you say, you know, I could just literally bolt out this door past you, not give you a chance to react and jump without hesitation. And I begged the police, put me in handcuffs, but they wouldn't because they knew that when I went to hospital, they'd have to stay with me till I got transferred to a psych ward. And that's
So you end up in hospital and you end up at stepping stones, don't you? The ward.
For 2 weeks, what felt like 3 months.
Yep.
And
what is, just for everyone who's listening and watching, what is stepping stones?
Stepping Stones is an adolescent psych ward for kids ranged to 12 to 18. Yep. It's just so you're not, it's not so you're going straight into a house with, you know, 30-year-olds or something with their issues. You're there with kids roughly your age, and I spent 2 weeks in there, and it felt like 3 months. It, it was, their thing that I picked on pretty quick was if I act fine, I do what they say, I participate in the activities, and I talk to them a bit more, I'll be out of here in no time. But to me, out of here in no time would have only been a week to a few days. But 2 weeks, it felt like 3 months. It just felt like forever. And,
so you just played the game to get out?
In a sense, yes. Like there were some beneficial things that I got out of it. I found out that I was a very sensory kid. So even if I've got anxiety or that, I'll fiddle around with something. I would say the wristband that you gave me, but that snapped last night. So, yeah,
I'll get
just
you
very
another
I appreciate it. But there were times when I had massive amounts of anxiety there, but it wasn't available because there was someone else in there or something serious was happening where security's been involved.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I spent 2 weeks in there. Went back to school. The school, my dad and the police, just before I got transferred, my dad talked to the police, and the police had said, we can put an AVO on these kids that have, caused this. And my dad had said no, because we'll talk to the school. And the school was really, this is, I feel like, the only school I've gone to who has actually done something about bullying. They put their own school AVO on them. It was 4 of them. And they couldn't come near me at all. Besides in the lockers, because our lockers were next to each other, but shortly after they got spread apart. They couldn't touch me. They touched me or did anything, they were expelled. They couldn't talk to me unless it was in class to say hi. They couldn't say anything else other than hi or how are you? And that was it. But the other thing that happened in year 11, once I got back to school and this is a story I haven't told you yet on the phone, I wanted to save it for tonight. The part that annoyed me, so all the kids that had caused me to do this got a 4-week suspension. So they weren't allowed to school for 4 weeks. But this is what 100% got my full attention and saying, why has this happened and not this? So a friend of mine, she's got dwarfism, so she's quite short statured, so she's not tall. She was harassed by the same people that were in my class in VCAL, and she went home 3 times in a week to sick bay with her parents. So she went to home with her parents safe. And the main instigator, I won't say his name, it was a follow me or you're getting bullied. And 99% of us followed him except for me. So she went home 3 times in a week, home safely and sound. This instigator got expelled for that, not for me trying to end my life and kill myself, but for someone going home safe to their parents. That's what got him expelled. And it's like, I wouldn't be here. I'd be dead. But someone who's gone home safe, like my house, with their parents, that's what got him expelled. That's what got him kicked out of school. It didn't make sense to me. It really frustrated me. Once he got expelled, the bullying really backed off. It still happened, but it wasn't as bad. Once the ringleader's gone, or once the lion in a pack is gone, everything becomes a bit easier.
Then you finish school and you go through a period over about 18 months where you're in and out of work.
Yeah,
and then
I only finished off. Sorry, I only finished off year 11. I didn't do year 12, so I didn't get a fancy certificate saying, I graduated, woohoo. I finished off year 11, and my dad thankfully helped me find my first job. It was a 3 months trial trying to be a shop fitter and cabinet maker. Went really well. The guy I had mentoring me wasn't good. He wasn't the best mentor. Like the kickers underneath your bench that hold your bench up about that high, you know, they're L shaped, so they're like that, and you put glue along there. He was expecting me to hold a piece of wood like this and shoot with a nail gun in this hand, which I couldn't do because I wasn't strong enough. I had no muscle, you know, and so, you know, I couldn't do this. I couldn't hold it and shoot it until later on. So I got taught a different way by someone else, and it made it easier. You stand up so they're vertical, and then that way you only have to hold the top, and then you just bang, bang, bang. You're not having to, you know, figure it out. But you know, I did that for 3 months. That fell through because of work, got really slow. And my boss was kind enough to give me 3 weeks notice. So I got 3 weeks notice, made a couple of phone calls, and found another job with a civil mob just down the road from me. And so my boss said, you know, we're really sorry, Ash, we thought it'd pick up, but it hasn't. Here's your paycheck for the end of the week, and we wish you all the best. And I couldn't be more greater to the boss and to the others that I had teaching me. They were grateful. You know. I moved on to the civil mob. I did a couple of weeks there. I ended up getting let go because one, I was still learning, but I was really fresh. Like I use power tools, but only for like 5-10 minutes. You know, you add it up, it's not long. So I did that, and you know, 2 weeks, couple of weeks, they said, you know, actually, we don't think you're quite ready. And I said, no, that's fair enough. You know, I was fine with it. I asked them what I had done wrong, and they said, you know, it's just more, we don't feel that you're comfortable and you feel ready to, you know, put yourself into this sort of industry. It's not to say that you won't find an industry. It's more to say, you know, we don't think you might be ready for this one just yet. So I said, yep, that's fine. Anyway, I took a couple of days just to gather myself because, you know, I've been let go from 2 jobs within the span of less than 6 months. So take a couple of days, I go out on a bike ride. And all my jobs until a couple of later ones, I've never had to hand in a resume, never once. So this next job I go to, it's a concreting mob, another one just literally around the corner from where I last worked. I went, knocked on the door, said g'day. I said to them, you guys are looking for a young bloke, willing to work, you know? And they said, yeah, we are. So I said, sweet. And they go, well, we'll bring the main guy down and boss down, he'll come and speak to you and interview you, stuff like that. Anyway, do the interview, sign paperwork. And then I ring my mum, saying to her, Mum, I've got a job. And she goes, oh, cool, cool. When's your interview? And I said, I've already had it. I start tomorrow, you know? And so I was wrapped. However, I only got 4 days to prove myself there. I got 4 days, which really, you know, it showed me that no one's going to put the time into me to teach me. On the second day, I asked a guy, and I'm sure you wouldn't expect it. So if you had a young kid, say 16 or 15 actually, when without a license and come up to you and say, you know, how do I use a shovel properly so I can get more done? What would your response be?
I'd show you how to do it properly.
Yeah, the guy I had showed me how to do it properly, but he was speechless. You know, if this young kid's just climbed up to him with a shovel and said, how do I use this properly? So I did. He showed me. I did it. I did the third day. Yeah, it was fine. I had a headache because I've been working long hours. I wasn't getting home till about 8 o'clock at night, 8:30. So by the time I got home, I had a shower and went straight to bed. Didn't even eat dinner. Third day, got home, went straight to bed. Didn't even say hi to my parents. My parents came in to me, told me they were going bowling. The most my mum got out of me was, see you later. And that was it. I was out like a light. Fourth day, we finish a job and we only took us half a day. So I go back. One of the guys comes down saying, boss wants to talk to you. So I went up, spoke to the boss, and he goes, we don't think you're ready. So I got let go. One of the guys that I worked with, though, put me onto a recycling mob. That was the first time I had to hand in a resume. Yeah, a phone call, hand in a resume. I worked there. That was my longest job. I worked there for, what was it, a year and a few months. And then I quit because of the way I was getting treated. I got treated like dog shit. I got yelled at. I had saliva coming on my face. the guy who taught me my machinery skills was Don's nephew, and he taught me how to use a excavator, taught me how to use a crusher and a screen, and that was the most fun I had there. You know, I found all sorts. I found hammers, chisels, hatchet in good nick, and all they needed was a sharpen. So I got half a toolbox set out of it. So, you know, that saved me money on tools. And
Now,
all
sorry,
that.
keep going. Sorry.
And then I quit, went from there to a company that specializes in mulch. I basically went there, worked there for 6-7 months, something like that, 6 months. And COVID, that was when COVID first hit, and boss tried to hold out, but he said, listen, Ash, I'm really sorry, but we have to let you go. You know, I've got to keep the full-timers employed. I said, no, that's fair enough. I completely understand. And I was happy with that, because he's told me that the reason why is because of COVID, and he needs to focus on, and he didn't want to say it in a mean way. He said, the reason why is because you have your license and that, but you're young. Whereas these other guys, you know, they have kids, they got families to look after and that. And I completely understood. I said, yeah, you need to focus on them because they're the ones that need it the most. They need the work the most.
Yeah.
So I went from there.
Now, before you get to Don, okay, because this is a really, really important bit. So from the age of grade 2 all the way through till 12 weeks ago, roughly, you have been bashed, beaten, bullied, 3 attempts at your own life. You are not, you are scared. You have people constantly doubting you, putting you down. Fair to say you've gone through the ringer.
100%.
And you meet a guy called Don Payton.
Yeah.
Oh, your screen's gone off there, mate.
Right. Oh, sorry. It's just a notification. Sorry about that.
You meet a guy called Don Payton at Balmera Industries.
Yep.
And you've been there a week, haven't you?
Yeah.
What happened?
So I did a week. Don, I'm so grateful for, and I still thank him to this day. We were two and a bit weeks in the stage 4 lockdown, and I got a call from a number, and I answered it, and my cousin was here, and he goes, "Is this Ash?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "This is Don from Balmera Industries." I said, "Oh yeah, g'day, how you going?" He goes, "Good. You still looking for work?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Sweet. Well, Thursday, if that suits you, come down for an interview." I said, "Yeah, what time suits you?" And he goes, 10 o'clock. So I said, all right, went for an interview. I was wrapped. I was ecstatic. I literally jumped out the back and almost hit my head on the pergola. I was super ecstatic. I couldn't be more happier. So I went there Thursday, went in at 10 o'clock. I don't think I left till 1. It went from like a interview for about 10 minutes to just a general conversation. That's that's probably the longest interview I've had. But yeah, so I did a week there, went out a couple of sites, and on the first day, one of the guys I work with put me in an excavator. He goes, "I'll give you a chance." And I'm like, you know, out of all my jobs, besides the mulching one, this was the first time I've ever been thrown in a machine straight away. You know, so I was wrapped, I was ecstatic. And you know, he taught me, you know, we're doing an arco dig, and you know, the trenches like that, and I've made it go there, put waves and bumps in it. So, but over time, I've learned. Yeah, come Friday, I was fine. I was happy. Saturday, Sunday was all right. Sunday night
This
at
is
12.
the end of your first week, isn't it? The end of your first week.
End of my first week.
Yep.
Sunday night at 12:30 a.m. I don't know why. I just burst into tears. I could not stop. I didn't stop crying till about 3:30, 3:45. But what had happened is that I started crying, and for about half an hour, I thought I was fine. I said, you know, I can do this. I can do this. I couldn't do it. An hour goes by. I need to go get mum and dad. I need to tell them what's going on. An hour and a half goes by. I still haven't done it. another half an hour, there's 2 hours of crying. I got up out of bed, and instead of going to my parents, I went to the kitchen where I'm at now and went and grabbed a knife and a pair of scissors. I said, I'm fucking tired of this. I got into bed, sat up, still in tears, still crying. I just couldn't stop. And I rang the police on myself. And I've done that a few times when I've just had thoughts and I couldn't speak to mum and dad. So I rang the police on myself. And that's in the span of like when I first met Chelsea. Sorry, just to backtrack a little bit, Turts, if that's all right. When I was working at Mulch, the mulching job, I got great news that Chelsea was pregnant. I was wrapped, 17-year-old, happy as Larry, I'm going to have a kid. Come to about, we went and did the ultrasound scan at 5 weeks, 6 weeks, something like that, I think it was. And we went in, my boss gave me the day off so I can go and do it with her. So we went to the ultrasound and the guy says, when you, not to say that anything's wrong, but, we could have, she was anticipated to be 7 weeks at least. Turns out the scan had come up as about 5 weeks and a few days. So we knew that there was going to be a leverage of maybe a couple of days we're ahead or something, but to be behind by 2 weeks, something wasn't right. So he goes, come back in 2 weeks, we'll, do another scan. We go back 2 weeks later and Chelsea's had a miscarriage, which to say is she's miscarried, but she hasn't started bleeding on that yet. So, but we know the baby's not there. My mental health was all over the place. I broke down at work and spoke to the guys, and I told most of the guys I worked with that, the miscarriage had happened, and they were full supportive and told me, what they'd been through and that. And so, gave me help, but my mental health wasn't great. And so I went from there, and I called the police on myself to go to hospital because I was in tears again. So yeah, so I've called the cops on myself many times just for help because I couldn't speak to my parents.
So you're lying in your room and you've got a knife to your own throat and a pair of scissors, and you're on the phone to the police and you're asking for help. Is that right?
Yeah, I said I had to spell out my address to the police because I just couldn't speak. I gave them my address word by word, letter by letter.
Yep.
And I said to the operator, and I feel so sorry for her to put her through this, and if by chance, she might end up watching this, or someone that possibly knows her, whatever, might share this to her, but I am sorry to put her through this. I said to her, can you do me a favor? She said yes. I said, can you tell my fiance I'm sorry and I love her? And gave her address and hung up. I just couldn't do it. I had the knife up to my throat by that point, ready to cut. And my parents barged into the room saying, they didn't even get police out. They just said, Ash, there's police. And they saw the knife to my throat. And they knew that they were there for me. As soon as the police knocked on the door, they knew they were there for me.
Yeah.
I just screamed at my parents, get out, leave me alone. I don't want you to see me. Just fuck off. I don't want you here at all. So police followed shortly behind with pepper spray in their hands ready. And we spent 10, 15 minutes negotiating, saying, you need to stop. I can't. I just don't want to be here. By the end of it, I surrendered. I handed in the knife and they asked me if I had any weapons, and I went to go cut my wrist at the last second, and then I said, no, I need help. So I gave them the scissors. Anything else? No. I was only in my jock stew, being 3 o'clock in the morning, so not the most pleasant sight for police to rock up to. But they checked my arms, my legs, my back, everywhere on me for any sort of self-harm marks or lacerations or cuts. I had nothing. It's the only time there's only been 3 times I've seen my dad cry, the first attempt when his mum died and this attempt. And other than that, I've never seen my dad cry. And that really shook me massively. So I go to hospital. My mum, being mum, tries to keep my job secure and says goes to work on the Monday and drives to go see Don and speak to the others and say, listen, Ash won't be in. He's got a really bad migraine. And by that point, I rang James. Sorry, I've already said twice. James, the other colleague that I work with, said to me, I know Mum's told you this, but this is the real reason why I'm here. And I told Don the same thing. I got a message from him, his partner, and Don, all wishing me the best of luck and a full recovery. I got transferred from there to Dandenong Psych Ward. I did about 3 to 4 days, and then I got discharged again. I just sort of played the game. I did actually talk to them more and said, this is the reason why. And the reason why I did what I did was because I was scared we were going to lose the house. We were going to be homeless or living in a car. We weren't going to be able to buy food or whatever. Because my dad was on call. He'd get a text or a phone call saying, we need you in tomorrow. If he didn't hear anything, it wasn't working. And my mum couldn't work at all. She's a house cleaner. So during stage 4, they weren't allowed to work at all. I'm the only one working 12, 13 hours, sometimes 14-hour days, Monday to Friday. I'm the only one with a full income, steady payment. So that's what really got me to do this attempt. So anyway, I spent a full 3 to 4 days, got discharged. I rang Don and said, I've been discharged. Am I able to come in tomorrow? Because I just wanted to get back to work and distract my mind. And I think, he could have said yes, and then I would have left it at that. But he said, no, have the rest of the week off. And I think that was probably the best thing I ever had, was the rest of the week off. I was able to talk to Mum and Dad. I was more open and that. Anyway, I go to work Monday, and at the end of the day, Don hands me an envelope. And I said, what's this? And he goes, that's your payslip. And I said, I didn't work. He goes, have a look. So I open it up, open it fully, read it. I still thank Don to this day. He has paid me a full week's wage, Monday to Friday, for being in hospital. He gave me a standard 40-hour week pay. And I said to myself, I'm going to withdraw all this money and give it back to him because I don't deserve it. I didn't earn it. And I told him that, and he said no. And we sort of went back and forth for a bit. I realized that even if I had gave it back to him, he would have just put it back in my bank account. So I'm fighting a losing battle here. It's just going to be the same cycle over and over.
So just on that, right? Just on that, those 3 days that you after you've been discharged, the afternoon on that Monday, Don rings one of our board members, Matt Atkins, who he knows really, really well. And Matt rings me and says, we've got to help Don and we've got to help this young man. So Don was on the front foot really, really early. Now, I think that has been one of the key ingredients for you to turn your life around like you have now, because it could have been really, really easy for Don as the employee to say, this is all going to be too hard, not pay you and get rid of you. Okay,
yeah, that was
Don
my
is not
anxiety.
that type of man.
I had major anxiety about that.
But
That
Don's
Don could have
paid you.
gone, this kid's a loose
Yeah,
cannon,
could
get
have
him
gone
out
either
of
way.
here.
Exactly. But Don's not like that. And he's stuck by you, paid you for the full week. And from that point on, Don's engaged us to help in whichever way we can. And he's been an unbelievable mentor to you, hasn't he?
Oh, massive amounts. With everything from my mental health, he asked me that, because I watched it that Tuesday, and it was when you had, I think it was 4 or 5 board members with you, and that, I asked a couple of questions and that, and ever since then, I've watched every single one. I haven't missed a single one yet, and I hope not to break it anytime soon.
So you're right. So Don tells you to watch one of our shows, a presentation we did to CAFBA, and you watch that and you send in questions. And I know that you're sending in questions to this thing. So we get in contact, and I get in contact with you the next day, or that afternoon, I should say.
Yep.
And we've been in contact ever since. And you've watched every show from that point on.
Yep.
And
Adrian Patera, Edward Smith,
yep.
Graham Alfred, all of them.
And I know Mark Worthington, who we had on the show. Mark Worthington was part of the captain presentation. He rang me afterwards and said, that guy Ash, I want to speak to him. So he's been amazing, hasn't he, Mark?
Yeah, when I talked to him about because Chelsea wanted to move in, which he has now, but at the time when we first started talking about it, I was shit nervous. And Mum had said to me that I was going to be anticipating a phone call from him, in the next week. And I'm like, okay, waiting for this phone call. A couple of months go by, nothing. And then all of a sudden, I'm driving through Emerald up in the hills, shit reception, and I get a phone call from the great man himself, Mark Worthington. And we just talked as a general conversation. I tried to talk to Chelsea what he told me about moving in, about me not being ready. And, she wanted to have a kid at the time. And, I just couldn't say to her that I wasn't ready. So he said to me, just pretend you're talking to her like you're talking to me. I know I'm not, I know I haven't got, all that lovely locks and looks that your girl has, but, just treat it as if you're talking to me. And a couple of weeks go by and I do. And I said to her, I'm not ready to have a kid. And, moving in, I think we could do, but I'm not exactly, the bravest for it. So we talked and we sorted it out, and Chelsea's now moved in and that. So, but yeah, he's been a great help, and 100 Words has been a great help too. Like ever since you contacted me that night and told me more about it, and it's every Tuesday. It's just been a massive impact. Like I still remember my question. I don't know if anyone watched it last week, the one with Graham Alfred. I asked him a question because he'd done his time in prison and robbed the bank and all stuff like that. And I asked him, if you could go back to your younger self, would you change anything, or would you keep it the way it is because it's made you who you are today? And like I said, he goes, I'd probably eradicate a few things, but not my time in jail. And I think he spent like 2-3 minutes on it with you. And he goes, I'm really sorry, Ash, but I can't answer your question. He could have played AFL and not drink, but he wouldn't know where he's wound up. And it's the same with me. I thought about it probably at the end of today. And it said, if I hadn't gone through the shit I've been through, where would I have wound up? Without the help and support I have, where would I have been? And so, yeah, to this day, I still thank Don for being one of those mentors I have in life, and Mark and yourself and James and that. And I think the most help I've received from James and Don at the moment is sorry, that's my dogs. What happened is that I said to Don, I told Don what was going on, and he goes, yep, that's fine. I said, I've got to do something like this, and he goes, yep, that's fine. And so James is in with us, and Don asked me, how was the ultrasound? And that at that point, it's a dead giveaway of what's happened. So I said to him, yeah, it came back really well. We found a heartbeat and everything like that. So, Chelsea, my partner, is pregnant. She is 12 weeks this Thursday. So we're wrapped about it. And that's been where Don and James have been the most help. They say, your kid's not going to be easy, but you are going to have fun doing it. There is going to be lots of fun, and, you're going to make memories and that. And it's like I said to you, how Chelsea was saying, look on the bright side. Kids are going to come home and greet you. And I told you about it, and you said, yeah, it's going to be a long fucking time before a kid goes to the front door and goes, Dad.
Yeah, that doesn't happen for a while, mate, I can assure you. Mate, Don is an amazing man, and he's created an amazing company down there who are so supportive of all their staff. And they have wrapped their arms around you, including his entire family, which includes Bianca and Trace. And I came down there the other day to meet you all because I was just so blown away with what they've done for you. And they are
stunned me.
Yeah, I did sting you.
You left me speechless.
Yeah, which is not clearly that doesn't happen a lot, does it? So to come down and meet you and Don and his whole family, who are remarkable people, um, his generosity and the way he opened up to you, and he has saved you, hasn't he?
Oh, dearly. If Don, I said to my mum and dad, if Don hadn't, I even said this to Don. I said, if you hadn't have put me onto 100 words, I don't know where I'd be. I'd probably be, I would have run away from home and for sure ended up dead, you know, because I would have just gone, I'm over it. I can't keep going job from job to job to job. You know, you weigh it up. This is my 9th job in 2 years. To an employer's point of view, it's not a good record, but you got to look at it and say, you know, I was fresh out of school.
Yeah.
And so it was bound to happen, but I wasn't expecting it so much. So if it wasn't for Don, it wasn't for 100 words, I'd, you know, because like you asked me the other day, how do I feel when I rock up to work? And you know, I feel safe. I feel, you know, I can be there and be myself. You know, I feel accomplished. You know, I've actually learned something. I've done something. Um, you know, I feel safe that I can tell them this is what I've got going on. I don't know how to deal with it, and they'll say, "Hey, all right, let's break it down. Chelsea's pregnant. You got this," and I said, "Okay, you still got 9 months before you know shit hits the fan, and you're going to be getting no more sleep." And I said, "Yeah, that's right. So save up your money if you want to, you know, save it up and, you know, put it aside for something, whether it's a, you know, a new car or a small home loan or something, or even both, maybe a small home loan and a car, or even just a rented place, you know, save up enough that I can set myself up in a way." And I can say to them, like I've said to Don the other day, I said, I had a job and the client complained about me and I rang you about this and I was all sorts in a mess. And I spoke to Don and, you know, Don just goes, even the office lady, Helen, she goes to me, she goes, in the morning, she goes, "You all right?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "No, something's up. You don't seem yourself. You know, you're walking funny. You know, this isn't, this isn't you." And I said, "Well, this is what's happened. This job, someone complained. You know, my anxiety went through the roof in saying, someone's complained, I'm going to lose my job. Don, I'm going to rock up and Don's going to go, you know, maybe a few days or a week later, Don goes, listen, Ash, you know, this is what's happened. This is the reason why we're letting you go." But I'm so thankful that he kept me employed and he taught me about how to deal with the situation and how to, you know, possibly stop it happening from next time. And my main thing was communication, because it went from digging in a straight line to sort of bulk moving, so digging everywhere and digging everything up.
He's an amazing man,
He is.
and I love the day that I came down there. It was they're such an inspiring family, mate. You watch the show. You've watched the show for the last 12 weeks, right?
Yep.
Why do you watch the show, and what have you got out of it?
So the reason why I watch it is to hear other people's story, and because I know most of them are going to be twice my age or a few times my age, and you know I know they've gone through hell and back like myself. And I look at it and go, one thing I've learned is if, like Ed, he was in a hotel room, drunk alcoholic, if he can pull himself out of that, then I can pull myself out of bed and go to work happy. Because if he can get out of bed today and look back on it and go, that's a life lesson, then I can get out of bed and look at the same thing and go, all these attempts and thoughts, they're my life lessons. You know, that's how I've been able to take out of it, and to know, it's the main thing is to know if they can do it, I can do it. But to also hear that some people would have changed their life for a different thing or what they've been through as a job, you know, it takes to me to say, you know, this person loves what they do, I love what they do, and I love what I do. So, you know, it's already a good start because I'm happy to go to work. I feel safe. I'm one of the, I reckon I'm probably one of the few people around the world that is actually happy to rock up to work. I rock up with a big smile on my face. You know, Don walks in. How you doing, Don? Yeah, good. Yourself? Yeah, I had a great night last night. How was your weekend? Good. What'd you get up to? Worked. Fun for you. I went to the beach and went snorkeling.
Now, there's one thing that we're big on at 100 Words Mate to Mate, and you and I have had plenty of discussions over the weeks about, well, I think one of the biggest things we've tried to impact on you is when we ask you how your day was out of 10, you might say to me it was a 4. And we've talked about breaking it down, haven't we? Like,
Yeah.
You know, how are things with mum out of 10? How are things with dad out of 10? How are things with Chelsea out of 10? How are things with work out of 10? And you've said to me, oh, it might be 4 in one of them, but the others are 7s, 8s, and 9s. So we've sort of discussed how it's not a 4 overall, therefore one part of life is a 4, but the rest of life is really, really good. So we've tried to departmentalize it, haven't we? We've always talked about, you know, just because one bit's shit doesn't mean it's all shit. And look at the positive side of things. And there's been so many examples of that, like Andy Miller, Ed Smythe, Adrian Terra, all these blokes who are twice your age, mate. Twice your age are still dealing with shit to this day. And I guarantee you, and there's some who have already put on the screen that I've been getting text messages to say, if only they had the courage then, like you have now, they would have dealt with the stuff then and not still be dealing with the shit now. That's the effect that you are having on my phone, which is going fucking berserk. All right? The screen is going berserk. I told you this would happen, Ash.
Okay? No, you didn't.
You are by far the youngest person we've had on. But I told you the power in which of your story is you're so open, honest, and raw, and it will impact people. Okay? For the first time in your life, you are going to impact people in a positive way. You're a very, very, very intelligent young man who's been through the ringer. But over the last 12 weeks, we played a small part in your recovery. Now, we talk about it, don't we? Every time we're feeling frustrated, we grab the wristband and just say, I'm not alone. I've got a 100 words wristband on. And you call me or you call one of the boys or you speak to Don and you know we're going to pick up, and you've got Wertho in your corner. We talk about team, don't we? We talk about all the people on Ash's team. Mum's on your team. Dad's on your team. Chelsea's on your team. I'm on your team. Walty's on your team. Wertho, Ed Smythe, all the boys, mate, okay? You should feel really loved and cared about because you are.
Yeah. I think sorry, you go.
There you go. Your show, mate. I'm on.
I remember how you said section it out. That conversation all started with Ed Smith's video because you did the poll and I said I was a 3, and that was only with Chelsea. That was nothing else. And you know, we talked about it and, you know, discussed it, and that's when we broke it up. And I think the other thing I said when I left my question for Ed saying, believe me or not, I remember this word for word, is Ed, hi Craig, hi Ed. Ed, your video has inspired me and your story has inspired me to be able to speak out about my problems and not bottle it up. And your response was, you know, I've done it at work with Ash for the last couple of weeks, and I keep saying to him, there's no hurry to get your life on track. You know, you're only 19. It's no hurry. And I think that was one of the things I also beat myself up about because I was in a race to get my mental health on track. And I think about it like this now. If I can get it reasonably well, that I can control it better than what I have been, I'm going to be pretty well set for most challenges in life. I look at it as if, because you can't control your brain, you can't control all your mental health. It's like trying to make water flat. You know, you got waves, you put your hand on it, you're just going to make more waves. You know, you're never going to get it flat. It's the way the water is. And so it's the same as the brain. You can't make it perfectly smooth. You know, if someone came up with a book tomorrow saying this is how to have a perfect life, guarantee every person would buy that around the world and do exactly what this person's did the job they did, had the partner they did, had the kids, had the house, had the car, had everything, because that's the way a perfect life is. But a perfect life is never perfect. To me, a perfect life, from my personal perspective, my own personal life, my personal perfect life is to be able to own my dream 4x4 car, which is a Nissan Navara, to be able to at least own a house with a decent bit of land, and to have kids, and to be able to go camping and fishing, and every now and then maybe go for a dirt bike ride. That's my perfect life in my head, for me, no one else but me. So if someone could
That's a
establish that with themselves,
good
then
dream to have, man.
mm,
Good dream to
it's
have.
not big. I'm not looking at a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or Rolls Royce, Mercedes-Benz, shit like that. I'm not looking at. I've said to my parents, I said, all I want is a little single-story house. Maybe 3 to 4 bedrooms for guests and that, and a decent bit of land that maybe if I have kids, or now that I do actually have kids on the way, then I could, if my kids decide to get into dirt bike riding, I could dig them out a little track. Just I don't want to do anything big in life. I don't want to become the world's richest man. I just want to become what my perfect life is.
Mate, we've got to get to these questions because there's quite a few of them. We got one here from Aaron, who watches a lot, and he's a great man. I've had plenty of chats with Aaron. Ash, how are you now ensuring that your level of anxiety is not so overwhelming? Is there something that you do that helps you stay much calmer now?
Well, like you said, and I said, I'm a very sensory person. So for me, the wristband, unfortunately, it broke, so I don't have it.
I'll get you some more.
I have like my arm just covered in them, just bang, 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 each one.
We might just get a tattoo, although then you can't go like this.
Let's get a 3D tattoo. I don't know. The word's going into a new age. I know for a fact my anxiety is not as bad as what it. Sorry, my anxiety isn't as bad as what it used to be. My anxiety would be, to put it in simple terms, this was my personal anxiety. I did an exam one day at school. I had that much anxiety built up that I wrote nothing for 3 pages but F minus because I knew I was failing. I just wrote F minus, F minus, F minus. Whole 3 pages. And the teacher came and asked me, he goes, why'd you write that? I said, because I'm a failure. I can't do this. You asked me to do it, but I can't do it. And for me now, I can actually control that, where if I got given a test or something like that, it might not be long, it might only be a couple of paragraphs, or even, it's like with work. Schoolwork, I was horrible with, never did homework, could never do any sort of schoolwork. There was only like literally maths and ratios. That's the only sort of proper subject that I could do.
Yeah.
And so I could only do ratios really, and that was the only sort of subject that was good in. Science, out the door, I couldn't do it. I just froze. I just ended up, 99% of my classes, I just went on my iPad and just watch YouTube. And when the teacher come around, just flick it to work and just pretend I'm doing work, and that was
I've got another one here. From a very important lady who I know. I hope every child who has ever bullied you is watching tonight and seeing the ramifications of their behaviour. I hope their parents who raised these disgusting children are also watching so they can see how they have failed as parents. I hope the teachers, the principals who dismissed your cries for help take a good long hard look at themselves and their lack of moral compass. You should have never endured any of these things. You're a remarkable young man for telling your story. That person is absolutely right.
To me, in all fairness to that, Turts, in a sense, I would say to the parents that it kind of was their fault, but they didn't fail raising their kid. Yes, there are flaws. Like for me, my parents aren't perfect at raising me. I've done some heinous things. I've got a criminal record that I won't go into, but that's not to say my parents were a failure. It's not their fault that I did what I did that got me a criminal record. It ended up being dismissed because I did a course by the police that was organized by them, but it's not my fault that my parents, they didn't teach me to do that. They didn't teach me to, go out and do stupid things. I wouldn't say it's exactly, yes, the kids, I look at them, they are disgusting, they are foul. And a couple of times I wanted to rub it in and say, look what I'm doing. I'm operating heavy machinery. What are you doing? Smoking cigarettes and doing drugs and whatever else. So I look at the parents and say, yes, it wasn't right, and possibly, how the situation had been solved when I was at school and that. But, at the same time, whether the school told the parents or not what had happened, it was on them. So, I wouldn't exactly say the parents are disgusting, but the parents did the best that they could. They're not bad. It's just some things might have been missed that I don't even know.
We've got another one here from Mark, who watches most weeks as well. Ash, always remember this. Bullies are cowards. You're a young man who's full of courage. You should be really, really proud of yourself. Wertho sent me a message saying that he's so proud of you, mate. He's so proud of you for what you've done and how far you've come in such a short period of time. Ed Smythe wanted me to tell you that he can't watch tonight. I'm going to send it to him tonight so he can watch tomorrow. And he's so looking forward to seeing how far you've progressed. Meg, another one here, Kane, who watches most weeks. Good on you, Ash. You're a brave young man. And thank you for being so open and honest and sharing your story. Another one here. My daughter went to Stepping Stones. Ash is right. You've only got to play the game, and you get to go free. Another one here, mate. Let me plow through these.
Yeah, go for it.
Another one. Ash, you are looking up to older mentors today, but I have no doubt in the future people will look up to you as a mentor to them. That's exactly right. I talked to you about that today, mate, that the effect that you are going to have on people will be immense. Another one, Peter. Hi, Ash. I'm so inspired by your ability to talk and be so open about these heavy situations. Maybe some people watching are going through some similar tough times. What would you say to them? And I'm proud of you.
I feel like that's Peter from my Man Cave group that I was onto just before. They go from 7 till 8 on Tuesdays because of COVID and that. But if that, whether it is or isn't him, the thing that I would say to most people is, I'd tell the story that, I've been told by my boss and, what he went through, and I tell him what I've been through. I say to him, if I can, as an 8 to 9 year old, if I can pull myself out of it, and even at 16, if I can 16, 15, if I can pull myself out of it, then I'm sure you can. You need any help or advice whatsoever, I'm happy to give it to you. No matter what, you're always going to come across challenges. But if you can look at the story that I've told you in person, face to face, then you can basically overcome, pretty much everything that you've got. You're going to be thrown at you in life. Because if you can remember this story that I've told you, and you can look back on it and go, Ash, like I did with Don. Don told me one of his stories, and I still look at it and go, Don was like this. If he can get through it, I can do it too.
Mate, I'm not going to get any sleep tonight because I have to respond to all these people who are ringing my phone. I've got Andy Miller, I've got Ed Smythe, I've got Adrian Botera, I've got John Bell. Mate, I've got everyone who's been on for the last few weeks. And they're all really proud of you, mate. And you are, I said this to you today, you are one of the biggest success stories of 100 words in the last 2.5 years. To watch how far you've come in the last 12 weeks, mate, is extraordinary. And you've done it because you've listened and you've paid attention and you've just slowed down and stopped and thought. And you're an absolute credit to yourself. I know how proud your mum and your dad and Chelsea are of you, and Don and everyone at Belmara, and I couldn't be prouder of you, mate. You've done a great job, and it's a it's a real pleasure for me to be part of watching you do what you do. And thank you so much for coming on tonight. You made a real impact. The questions are still coming through.
Do you want to plow through a couple more?
Thank you for being such an amazing young man who has faced more than a fellow your age should. The world is a better place for you, and I hope you will have affected so many people. And yeah, the pride that everyone has for you, mate, is evident. You're a real credit to yourself, mate. You should be so proud of how far you've come in such a short period of time, and the effect that you've had on me, clearly, other members of your family and your workmates is huge. So
it's unreal,
mate. We could run a 5-part miniseries.
What happened to 6?
I said, well, we could do a 6-part miniseries, but mate, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having the balls. This thing, as I said at the start, was all based on rawness, openness, and honesty, and you are those 3 things, my friend, in spades. You're an incredible young man, and I hope you are really, really proud of yourself.
I am, and it's like the 2 things that you had said to me. It takes courage to be vulnerable, and you need vulnerability to have courage. And you have,
absolutely.
Like, one thing you've always said to me when I started work, I was just a bull at a gate. You know, I wanted to go. I've been given 2 ears and 1 mouth, and it's for twice the listening and 1 time of the speaking. And it's like I said to you, I said, yeah, you're right. If I had been given 2 mouths and 1 ear, then I would have had twice the speaking and only 1 listening. So to know, and like how you've been, and I know before I got onto 100 words, I would have said to you, don't cry, you make me cry. But from mate to mate, I'm happy to say to you, you know, if you cry, I'm going to cry with you.
Mate, you're a star. Thank you so much.
No worries, Turts.
I'll speak to you tomorrow.
No worries. Stay safe. And,
you too, buddy.
To everyone who's listening, stay safe. Like my goal tonight, I said to Turts and Waltzy, that was just to help 1 person. If I've helped more than 1, I've smashed my goal. But as long as I can help 1, or even give advice to someone who knows someone that needs help, that's a goal in itself for me. So I'm really proud to have the honor that you gave me to be on this, and to be able to share my story, and to be able to, help a couple of people. It's an unreal pleasure. I thank you so much. I think 100 words. Big thank you to your sponsors.
It's not a bloody victory speech. It's not a victory speech. God, you're a bloody professional. I'm going to get the flick and you'll end up taking my role. Mate, thank you. I love you, buddy. You're a good man.
Thank you. Stay safe. And
you too.
I hope your day is a 8 out of 10 or higher for tomorrow, and the same for everyone else.
Good
8 out of 10 or higher.
Thanks, bud.
All right. See you, Toads.
See you, buddy. Fair to say that kid is he's a remarkable young man. The steps that he's taken, he's owned what's happened, and he's come such a long way in such a short period of time. We are so proud of him. To think that we've had a small impact on such a young man is huge for us. He's one of the biggest success stories of 100 Words Mate to Mate in the last 2.5 years. So I'm so proud of what he did tonight. Next week, it's going to be a wrap-up. So my dear friend Waltzy, who runs all the behind the scenes, and he and I are just going to sit down, and we're just going to pretty much do an open mic. We're just going to talk about all our findings over the last, I think we've done 31 shows. We never intended to do 31 shows, but we're so glad we did. We learned so much. And we want to talk to you next week about what we've learned. We want you to ring in and send in questions and talk about what your favourite show was, what you learned, who you were inspired by, because we've had an absolute ball putting the show together, and we've loved every minute of it. We've met some amazing people who are so courageous and so honest with their lives, and all we try to do is supply a safe space in which them to talk. And it all starts every week with one phrase: G'day, mate. How's your day been out of 10? And that's how it starts. And anyone who's watched his show, it starts with that. And out of that comes some real openness, honesty, and rawness. And nothing more than what you saw tonight. So join us next week. We'll wrap it up for the year. Walty and I, fair chance I could end up in this state and crying again. So, which I'm not ashamed of. I'm an emotional beast, and I love being like that. So hopefully I'll see you next week. Big thanks to our sponsors, Matt Atkin from Atlas Brokers, does an amazing amount of work for us. Thank you, Matt. Shelley Wood from Splice Communications, who's the most unbelievable woman there is. She does a huge amount for us, and we love you, Shell. And to Brett Phillips, who runs the First Serve, the only tennis show in this country of ours. The First Serve does a huge amount for us and a huge amount for the tennis community. To Walty behind the scenes, who does a huge amount. I love you, mate. You're tireless in what you do. Thank you so much. To the whole board of 100 Words, we've got our AGM tomorrow night. Really looking forward to that. And yeah, hope your week's a 10 out of 10. I'll see you next week. Thanks a lot.